For most of my life, I never lived in peace. And reflecting on that now, it's crazy. And I know that so many people still have yet to find peace. But once you get it, it is the most amazing feeling ever. It's like you're on top of the world, literally enjoying your own company, not being stressed about anything, sleeping peacefully at night, not tossing and turning, wondering when you're going to pay this bill or that bill, who doesn't like you, who has attitude with you today. These are so many things that I was struggling with literally my entire life because I never had peace. And it showed in a lot of the habits that I had. There was a period when I was 24, I had got my first, like, quote unquote, real job. And by what I mean by real job is fresh out of college towards my degree. I finally thought I had made it. Making 60,000 a year, no kids, and this was before COVID. This was before prices were extremely high. So, 23-year-old making 60,000 a year, like that's great. And I thought I was just on top of the world for the first few months. And I got a nice apartment. I got a new car to match my new job. I was paying my student loans. I was just doing it. And then about 6 months into the job, I realized, one, I don't like working in a lab. But how would I have known that? I was in college. We didn't have but a few hours of lab a semester. And then two, I didn't like the people and they didn't like me. But I already had this job. What was I already had these bills. I can't quit. I didn't want to disappoint my family, my friends. What would they think? I just didn't know what to do. So for the next 5 years, I lived very miserably. I didn't want to find another job that wasn't going to be able to pay me what I was making. And I dealt with that stress by eating and drinking. And today, like when I eat pretty clean. Like most of my food is unprocessed. But back then, oh no, I was just eating anything I could get my hands on that tasted good. So a lot of Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, Ben and Jerry's ice cream, the sugary and greasy stuff. I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was normal to not like your job. I didn't know anyone who did. I was raised in a single parent household. My mom worked two jobs around the clock. She didn't like any of her jobs. None of my friends at the time liked their jobs. And the coworkers that I had, the people that I'm around the most, none of us liked our job. So I just thought it was normal to not like your job. I couldn't even really imagine what it would be like to get up every single day and be happy because everyone I was around was miserable, including myself. So you get used to being in a routine, and that's pretty much what was going on. I was used to gossip. I was used to feeling like I'm walking on eggshells in the work environment. I was used to dealing with people's attitudes. I was used to all of it. I was used to overeating to cope with my emotions, stress, frustration, anxiety, sadness, boredom. I was just used to all of that. And that's why it's so hard to create new habits and get rid of the bad ones, because the bad habits are what have been getting you through this entire time. And you start to use those habits as a crutch. And the cycle just continues every single year. And I knew I wanted to change. Like, I could start to feel the effects of being overweight. I was 340 pounds at my heaviest weight. And I was so miserable, you guys. And, I'm all for body positivity and loving yourself in all sizes, yes. But I can't tell you guys how much my knees would hurt. I had bought a Dodge Charger. And if you're familiar with that car, it's a sporty car and it's very, very, very low to the ground. I am 6'3". It had got to the point where I had to brace myself before getting in and out of that car. I had two knee surgeries playing basketball in my college years, and my knee just never was the same. But the fact that I was carrying a whole bunch of excess weight wasn't making it any better either. On top of that, I barely exercised. The only time I exercised was getting to the car and from the building, right? So obviously, I would have knee issues. But, I had lower back issues. I was starting to breathe very heavily. There were times where I was just sitting watching TV or sitting in the break room and people would ask me like, "Jazz, are you okay?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, why?" They'd be like, "You're breathing pretty heavy." And I wasn't sure how to feel about that. I knew that there was an issue, but I was kind of embarrassed at the same time. So I would make up the excuse of, "Oh yeah, my nose is stuffy." But in reality, I just couldn't get enough oxygen into my body anymore. I had to start breathing through my mouth. So my mouth was always slightly open just so I could get enough air without feeling like I'm gasping for breath. During this time as well, I needed validation from people. I was a people pleaser. I wanted everybody to like me. And I was willing to do damn near anything to get people to like me. I never wanted to be talked negatively about. I always wanted to have friends. I just was never comfortable in my own skin. I just always needed external validation. And reflecting back, it's like I can't believe that I needed that because now I'm fine all by myself. But that's just what happens in life, you know. I think one of the goals in life is you should be able to reflect back on some of the things that you used to do and just be shocked because that lets you know how much you've grown. And because I needed external validation back then and I just needed people to like me, I never chose to be in the best relationships, whether those were friendships or romantic relationships. I was in an abusive relationship in my early college years, and that stemmed from needing someone, needing people to like me. And, you know, the signs were there even before things got physical that I shouldn't be with this person. But I just never had a backbone. I was always a timid child. I always hated confrontation. Like, even in elementary school, like when kids would pick on me, I just never could stand up for myself. I don't know why or where that comes from, but like that was just always me. I would just kind of shy away from drama or, you know, just go hide. I just was always like that. And so, you know, that relationship, it ended as it should have, but I was in that relationship for 2 years and, you know, things happen. I grew from it. I know what to look for nowadays, right? But I'm just saying that I never treated myself well and, you know, I couldn't expect others to. It's like it's like you know that something isn't right, but you still deal with it anyways because you don't know anything better, if that makes sense. I also wasn't good at choosing the best friends to be around. You know, I think in life, people serve a purpose. And I'm not going to sit here and say that the friendships I had weren't always good or always bad. They served their purpose. But at the same time, I was also that friend that showed up for people who didn't show up for me. And that stems from needing to be around people, needing to be liked, people pleasing. And, you know, I worked through these issues in counseling, but those tendencies that I had just played a really big role because I could never find happiness in me. I always was looking for it outside of me. Things finally started turning around for me when I went to counseling. And I talk so much about it and mental health and healing yourself because it really is the game changer for life. And I'm going to continue to talk about it until the day I die because I didn't know. Like I said, if all I'm around are people who are unhappy, how would I know that there's a life where you can always be happy? I it's just amazing how beautiful life gets when you start prioritizing your mental health. And sometimes you just get sick and tired of being sick and tired. I know when it came to weight loss, I just got sick and tired of being sick and tired of being overweight. And the same applied when it came to my mental health. I was sick and tired of always being sad. I was drinking every single day, overeating and drinking every single day just to cope with this miserable life that I'm in. But like I said before, it was like there was something inside of me telling me it doesn't have to be this way. But I just didn't have enough courage at the time to change. So COVID came around and I heard about girls doing OnlyFans. I was like, OnlyFans, what is that? What is that? All I knew was people were making thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars from the comfort of their own home. And I recognize that OnlyFans has a stigma behind it, and what everyone chooses to do on their page is their business. But I will just say I am a solo creator, and I'll leave it at that. So I looked at it as a way out of this job. I I knew I wanted to run my own business. I just didn't know what in. And so I got sick and tired of being at work and dealing with everything that I was putting up with for the past 6 years. I quit. I quit and I started doing my OnlyFans full time, and I never looked back since. It has truly been a blessing in my life. And once I started working for myself, I was always by myself. Everybody was at work. The friends that I had, my family, and don't even get me started on the things that everybody else had to say about it. You're going to quit your job? That job has good 401k plans. You're going to quit your job? Don't they give you 10 hours of PTO? A pay period? You're going to quit your job making $60,000 a year? Don't quit your job. Don't quit your job. Yes, all of those things about that job were true, but that job was also keeping me miserable. So I quit despite what anyone and everyone had to say. So, anyways, now I'm by myself all the time. I don't have anyone to talk to gossip with. I don't work anywhere, so I can't sit around and talk to people about the bullshit that goes on at work. So I was just really by myself and really in my emotions. And I was actually even more sad because I didn't have anything else distracting me from my emotions. So I decided to go to counseling. It was like God told me, go to counseling. And so I went in my first session and learned so much. The energy was great. I felt like she could relate to me. She's African American. She runs her own business, her counseling business. So I just really felt like she understood a lot of what I was going through. And I started going every 2 weeks, just like I go to get my nails done every 2 weeks. I go to counseling every 2 weeks. It was a priority. Counseling gave me a new perspective. A lot of times it's hard to see things from another viewpoint because we can only see it from our own viewpoint. And so she made me think about things differently than how I was thinking about it. I was a very negative person. And so by changing my perspective on things that took place in my life, it allowed me the opportunity to see the blessings that came out of the things that took place in my life. And that's the biggest thing that changed my life, was shifting my mindset. Instead of always looking at the glass as half empty, I started looking at it as half full. And by doing the homework that she gave me, I went on a spiritual journey, and I started realizing that I can create whatever life I want for myself. And I have been doing that this entire time. I just didn't know it. Before I went to college, I knew I wanted a job paying good money. I got that. I just didn't ask for a job that I liked. I wanted a house. I bought one. I don't have it anymore. I sold it. But I'm just saying, I created the life that I wanted this entire time. So instead of always asking for what I want, I also need to ask for who I want to be as well. And that's what I started doing. And by going to counseling and healing and learning how to love myself, over time, the weight loss just kind of fell into my lap in a sense. Because for the first time, I was learning how to love myself. And when you truly love yourself, you start to take care of yourself. And so for me, that started with just exercising, just moving, just getting up off of the couch and being intentional about getting active. And once I was able to do that, then I started changing what I ate. And then once I started to do that, I hired a personal trainer. And he taught me how to weightlift and how to really eat healthily, not just what I thought was healthy, right? And so I say all of this to say to you, you can lose weight. You can create whatever life you want for yourself. But the reason why a lot of us don't is because we don't believe that we have the ability to do that. And how can you believe that you have the ability to do that if you are living a very toxic and stressful life? You're not going to be able to see the beauty of your life if you're always looking at what's going wrong. Sure, I have days where things don't go my way. My money may not be how I want it to be. I'm not taking those lavish vacations that I want. But just because I'm not where I want to be in life right now doesn't mean that I can't enjoy the moments that I'm in today. And that's what I do. I've started living in the moment. I've stopped always looking to the future, and I've stopped living in the past. And by doing that, I finally found peace for the first time.